Welcome back to Beccas By The Bay. I'm Becca, and we're hanging out in the kitchen today. So this is a family recipe that we got from years ago. Stop this. Should have stopped that ahead of time. So it's a family recipe. It's called Brady's Crock Pot Chili. My dad got it from a friend of his, and the recipe was in the paper. The full recipe was never, I think, really printed, so my dad got the recipe from him. So I'm going to be giving you guys that recipe today and its alterations to make it go a little bit further on your budget. It's cold, it's wet here, we're hanging out in our Bucky's PJs, cozy hooganess, and so that's what we're going to be doing in the kitchen today. So get your pens and papers. I'll write it down in the description below, but it is the original no beans, 2 pounds of round steak, 1 pound of lean pork, or 3 pounds of hamburger. Something else we've also tried was sometimes they have ground brisket. That is really good too. 3 tablespoons of butter. We like to use the Kerry Gold Unsalted. 4.5 tablespoons of chili powder. 3 medium onions, choppy. 4 cloves of fresh garlic. If you have a garlic masher, squisher, that's the way we go here. Those are awesome. Let's see, it says 4 ounces of canned peppers, hot or mild sliced. Now, usually we would buy the Pepperocini, but they're kind of pricey. So you can stick in 1 or 2 jalapenos or some serrano peppers, chop them up with the seeds, and that will add your heat. You don't have to go get the expensive peppers. This is like 5 cents at the store for one, so 10 cents to add some heat. Let's see, it says 28 ounces of canned Cento Italian Cut Tomatoes. I don't usually buy those anymore because I will go get fresh roma tomatoes. Our roma tomatoes are really great here at Fruit King and things like that. So about 20 or so, just enough tomatoes to kind of cover everything up. And I will throw them in the blender and give them a quick chop with my pepper. You could probably put the garlic in there too. Let's see. It says 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. That has soy in it, and I can't use that. We have something called fish sauce. Let me see. I have it right here. All out though. Okay, so I need to figure out where I can get more besides online, but it's called Red Boat Fish Sauce, and that's all it is. It's just anchovy, sea salt, and that's it. And so Worcestershire sauce is basically like a fish sauce, but it's got some other stuff in it. So we use this, but I don't have much. And then it says 1 tablespoon of rice flour to make it gluten-free. Rice bothers us now, and it's not a grain that we can have as a B blood type. So I put millet flour in to help thicken up the chili. That's actually a neutral for all blood types. If you're A, B, O, or B, millet is a neutral rice. I mean, a neutral flour. Ooh. And then a teaspoon of sea salt. We like to use either the pink, or sometimes my husband likes to use the white iodized sea salt. And let's see, a tablespoon of oregano. So you can use dry. I'm going to be adding some fresh organic from the garden as well. 3 bay leaves. Bay leaves are kind of strong, so sometimes I only use like 2. But the recipe says 3. 1 tablespoon of sage. Sage has been bothering me, so I'm leaving that out for our recipe here. 1 tablespoon of cumin, and 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. This is a all natural Eden red wine vinegar, naturally fermented raw. This is good if you don't have this, because depending on where you can find it, I think this is like $3 something a bottle. You can also always get some apple cider vinegar with the mother. This is organic at Walmart, so you could always put that in instead. Let's see, it says 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Well, we don't use brown sugar, so I do add a little bit of sugar, but I use, well, it's coconut sugar. So, and I only put a little bit. So, that. So basically, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn this on high, and all I did was take some olive oil and spritz my pan, and I'm going to start cooking down my onions. Now, to save you the cost on, if you can't do grass-fed beef, that's okay. We can't always do that all the time either. You can get conventional beef. And this is, I've got 2 pounds here. I guess they like a lot of meat, but if you, so this is 4 pounds of meat, and the recipe called for 3 pounds. Our guys like it kind of meaty, and a huge package of the white button mushrooms. If you just chop them up real quick, you know, the big package. Just chop them up into cubes, and that will shrink down and add like a meat to make your meat go further if you don't have a whole lot of meat. So that's not in the recipe, but that's something I add to it. This is not, it's a nightshade. So yeah, there's some nightshades in this because of the tomato. So I figured when they have peppers on sale, I add 2 big bell peppers when they're on sale. That also adds to making this thick and good, extending it and getting some veggies in. And then I also will add, it's not in the recipe, I will add a little bit of ground turmeric to help for the inflammation of what's going on here. So I'm just gonna take my Vitamix and blend up some tomatoes, and I throw in the whole pepper. And I just put it on 3 and chop it. You want to get it started so that you can add more tomatoes. Because if you add all your tomatoes, it won't go like you want it to. Just keep adding. I'm going to get spoon. I'm gonna just pull my leaves off from the stem. Pop them in. Just keep stirring. You can add a little bit of water, and that'll help cook that. That way it won't burn. Oregano is really good for fighting colds and all kinds of like feeling under the weather stuff. So oil of oregano is good, and that's why I like adding lots of fresh oregano. If we start to feel under the weather, this will clear out your sinuses and you'll be feeling good in no time. There's my oregano. And the rest of my tomatoes. So I don't really weigh them out. I was at least 21. So this is the big, I'm not sure how big this is, but this is the big one. So this is full, and that's about probably all I use for tomatoes. So you're just gonna cook down your onions before you add your meat. So a lot of the blood types, if you're A blood type, meat will bother, red meat usually bothers your stomach. They actually have trouble digesting it. So you could do a turkey chili. A's do really good with lentils and beans. So you could add beans to this. Beans are kind of like a no bueno for bees. I know it says navy beans, but I just don't do well with those either. So we do no beans. And that's why I add the mushrooms. So it adds bulk to your chili. And then Kerry gold. I usually just add a good dollop of butter. I don't think it's necessarily 3 tablespoons, but that's okay. All subjective. I'm going to add a little bit of water to my fish sauce bottle to see if I can maybe get the rest of this out. I can get the cover off. Yeah, comment below and let me know what you guys make for chili. If you try this recipe, let me know what you think about it. And I know everybody makes chili differently, and a lot of people use beans. And water. Still cooking on my onions. So this will probably be a quick video just to get it all cooked up, but it's going to be on the stove for at least 3 hours to cook down. Yep. So I'm going to add my peppers. Now that my onions are like slightly translucent, onions are slightly translucent, so that's a good time to add my butter, my peppers, my garlic. We're still at a high heat. You guys just gotta watch the onions because they will burn. So adding a little bit of water really just kind of helps steam them and release them from the pan so they don't stick and burn. So that's a little secret tip there. Push my garlic in. You could mash this with the back of a knife and just do a quick chop, but this is actually quicker for me. So And then I don't have to worry about trying to feel my garlic. Oops, you do not want that in there. Alrighty. So, clearing that out of the way. Kind of a quick process to get it going. And the white onions, I find that when I chop up the white onions or cook them, it doesn't make me cry as much as some of the other onions. You can always run your knife and the onion under some cold water, and that will help too. So I'm going to be adding in my beefy. And my salt. I'm trying not to add too much salt because I've been having trouble with salt, but you need to salt your beef. So a teaspoon. I mean, I could measure, but I guess that's about right. So there's that. And then if you want it a little extra hot, because I goofed and only got one jalapeno, you can add some red cayenne pepper, which I'm going to make sure I see what I'm doing, because otherwise I'll just add too much. Probably about half a teaspoon. And my oregano. I'm not sure if this would be considered keto. It probably would be if you don't add any kind of flour or thickener to it. If you're good with potato starch, you could probably add a little potato starch to thicken it, but always add a little bit of water with your potato starch so it doesn't clump up. And then we always top this with sour cream. You could use black olives, and then cheddar cheese and some avocado. So not sponsored by them, but Cracker Barrel. It's really good. And then this is the other one. We go to Naturals Grocer, and this is an organic grass-fed Kelowna. This sour cream, y'all, it is like, it's like cream cheese. It's super duper thick. Awesome. And that one doesn't bother my stomach. A lot of the other ones I've tried have too. So you're just browning up your beef. That's all I have for the red fish sauce. And then tablespoon of your red wine vinegar. Cumin, also a tablespoon. I know I got more cumin somewhere. Thought it was a full jar. Hold on. Where are you, human? pantry. I have lots of cumin. Oh, I'll refill the smaller jar. All right, so I did my cumin, tablespoon of oregano. I like lots of oregano. It's really good for you. I don't think you can overdo it. And this was all dehydrated from our garden. So that's awesome. Okay, so the brown sugar, again, we're not doing brown sugar, and it said like a tablespoon. This is kind of like a teaspoon. 2 small teaspoons of coconut sugar. That's all I add. I need to add my bay leaves. And I need to add these 2 ingredients. They're done. It's going to be 2 bay leaves. Or if you're following the recipe, it will be 3. My family doesn't like it that strong, so 2. And then I think I have another jar of turmeric somewhere. I need to open this one yet. Okay. Probably a teaspoon of turmeric. And now that your meat is browned, everything's browned up and cooked. Pretty much, almost there. A few red bits, not quite fully cooked yet, almost there. That's when you're going to add your tomatoes or your tomato sauce. You could also, to thicken this up, you could add like a can of tomato paste. Cento is a good one. This was, I guess we didn't get Cento at the last market, so we got Contadina. And this is organic tomato paste, so one of those, if you wanted to add it to thicken it up, that would help too. Just a few more meaty bits. Need to get cooked up. So this is a really great meal to have when it's cold and yucky and you might be feeling a little bit under the weather, but you don't want soup. I'm going to put all my mushrooms in. As you can see, my pot's getting pretty full. Do all of that. And then I'm just going to pour in all of my tomato sauce here. That there's all the aromas. This pot will probably be eaten in about 3 days max by the guys and me. So we don't really eat anything else with it other than maybe some avocado and sour cream and some cheddar cheese. I guess you can make like a grilled cheese with it, or I do have a video with our recipe for a gluten-free bread. So, yeah, this is pretty full. I'm just going to stir this in and make sure that my tomato sauce is covering everything. If not, I will blend up a few more tomatoes. And this is going to cook down. This will probably be about 3/4 full right now. It'll probably be about half of the pot once the mushrooms and everything cooks down. probably could use a couple more tomatoes. Sad to say, I probably didn't buy enough tomatoes. I only have 2 left for whatever else I want to do with them. I'm going to blend these in too as well. Like I said, you want a lot of roma tomatoes. Added more meat than the recipe calls for, so that's probably why I needed more tomatoes. And if there's not enough salt or pepper in it, you can always individually salt and pepper your own bowls after it's all ready. Yep, so I really don't add any kind of flour or thickener until I see what my chili looks like after about a couple of hours. If it needs it, after about 2 hours, I'll add about a tablespoon of either millet flour. I've tried adding almond flour, but it doesn't seem to do any kind of thickening. It just, I don't know, it doesn't do the same effect. So, but millet flour works good. And this will be ready in about 3 hours. So, oh, and I forgot the chili powder. Don't forget the chili powder because we're making chili. Chili powder, 4.5 tablespoons. I'm like, it doesn't look red enough. Because it doesn't. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add, make it 5 because there's extra meatiness in here. And because I have enough chili powder, I'm not worried about not having enough. So, yep, remix this up. Now it's going to be chili. Don't forget the chili powder, y'all. Just don't do it. You'll have like spaghetti sauce. And then you can taste it after about 2 hours. The flavors should be really combined well. And if you feel like it needs a little bit more chili powder or a little bit more cumin or a little bit more oregano, that's the time you want to add it. It's not going to taste, if you taste it now, it'll taste totally different in 2 hours from now once it's cooked down. So wait till it's cooked down before you taste test it. Yeah, here we go. Alrighty, I will see you guys on Instagram in about 3 hours from now when this is all ready, and I'll shoot a little photo for it. So yeah, you can follow along at Beccas By The Bay here, Instagram and Facebook. And if you're interested in handmade items that are natural beauty and bath and some gluten-free recipes and things like that, we have them up on the Etsy shop as well at Beccas By The Bay. So thanks for hanging out with us today in this rainy day and hanging out with me in the kitchen while I make this for the family. Have a beautiful day, y'all.